Okay, and I put the time elapsed, right?
Yes.
Nothing else?
Yeah, just the time elapsed, and the current time as well.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready to proceed.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All right. Next is the official election of officers. To cast your vote towards or against the election of an officer after the name is called, please utilize the provided poll to cast your vote in the provided voting text channel chat. In accordance with our bylaws, a simple majority of yes votes constitutes a successful election. May the secretary please prepare the minutes to record the votes. The secretary may unmute in order to confirm once they are ready.
I forgot to mute myself. I am ready for the votes. I don't see it in board voting though.
Nobody has. It's going to say election of officers. Say that.
I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Start at the top because we're going to go from the top down.
All right, let me mute myself.
Okay. All right. The names and titles will be called one at a time. Voting will commence once each name has been called. Are there any questions before I can proceed with calling the names? All right. Calling will now commence. Keo 99, President. You may cast your vote. All right. The yeses have the vote. Shiva 777 as Vice President. You may now cast your vote. Yes, you can vote for yourselves. All right, the yeses have it. Goldfinch underscore as voting officer. All right, the yeses have it. Konkainashi as voting officer. All right, yeses have it. Piter the 12th as a voting officer. All right, the yeses have it. Encom Colonel as voting officer. Okay. Yeses have the vote. Perry Cola as treasurer. Okay, yeses have the vote. Michael Brunig or Amber Shakula as secretary. The yeses have it. Are there any questions or concerns about the voting of officers before we take a short break? Okay. Time is now 9:26 p.m. EST, 6:26 p.m. PST. Secretary may now pause the timer and record the current time elapsed in the minutes. We'll be taking a quick break I'm going to make it about 5 minutes, and we'll return to the meeting at 6:32 p.m. PST. That's 9:32 EST. Welcome back. I'll give a few minutes to make sure that everybody's returned. Okay. Sean, have you finished recording the votes?
Yes, I have. Shall I resume the stopwatch?
Yes. Thank you for continuing to bear with us. I know this meeting is pretty long. Let the record show that the time is now 9:32 EST, 6:32 p.m. PST, and the secretary may now restart the timer, note the time in the minutes, and the meeting will recommence.
Timing is just now reached 10 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Next on our agenda is the consideration of new board committees. As outlined in our bylaws, this board has the authority to establish ad hoc or standing committees to assist in advancing the organization's mission and managing our ongoing initiatives. As a point of information, let it be known that a director who motions to create a committee shall be assumed to be nominating him or herself to lead said committee. At this time, I will open the floor to the board. Are there any proposals for the creation of a new committee? If you wish to make a motion, please state your name for the record, propose the name of the committee, and briefly outline its primary purpose and scope. The chair will now entertain a motion to form any new committees. Is there a motion? You may unmute if desired to move. Okay. No motion has been recorded. May the secretary please note that no motion has been recorded to create a committee in the minutes, followed by the current time, time elapsed, and director. Actually, don't worry about the time. It's only been a couple of minutes anyway. Just say that no committee has been formed, and then unmute to confirm when you're ready to proceed.
Confirming, do not list the time elapsed and the time voted.
That's correct. Just leave that blank.
Okay, I have put no motion in the voting next to the voting issue on the sheet you gave me.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm ready to move on.
Yep. Next order of business is to formally adopt our annual budget as well as preview the treasurer's report for year one. Our treasurer, Kai Ratcliffe, or Ferry Cola, has the floor. Everyone, please remain muted as the report is presented. Kai, you may unmute and present your report and the proposed draft budget.
Am I good?
Mhm.
Thank you, everyone. I'll keep this brief. I'm pleased to report that the cooperative contingent of Concerned World Citizens Inc. is currently operating in the black. We presently have $300 in cash on hand, providing a stable foundation for our baseline administrative needs. For fiscal year 2026, our proposed total operating budget is a very lean $357. To date, we have responsibly executed that budget, spending only $118. Our total budget is distributed across 5 dedicated categories. 132 allocated for Discord hosting, $85 allocated for general web hosting, $50 reserved for web domains, $50 set aside in a rainy day fund, $40 dedicated to advertising. Of these categories, we have already fulfilled our financial obligation for 2 months of railway hosting at a total of $10 US dollars. Our credit padding for our VoIP.ms phone tree and Versal dashboard hosting credits at a total of $25. 3 months of Discord hosting for a total of $33, and all of our website domains for a total of $50. While our current cash position keeps us secure in the short term and ensure our digital infrastructure remains online, this baseline budget leaves very little room for growth. To ensure we can comfortably operate past the end of the fiscal year 2026, and more importantly, to successfully expand and scale our provided services, we must prioritize revenue generation. identifying targeted grants and cultivating individual donations will be an essential objective for us over the next 6 months. Are there any questions regarding our current expenditures or cash on hand before we move to the next item on the agenda?
Okay.
Alrighty. Thank you all again for your attention, and I'll give the floor back to Rowan.
All right. Thank you, Kai. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt the proposed budget for the 2026 fiscal year. Is there a motion? You may unmute if desired to move. Anybody?
I guess we can move.
Okay. Is there a second to this motion?
I suppose we can second this. We can
Okay.
second this.
Motion passes. Is there any discussion or suggested amendments to be had from the board? You may unmute if desired to speak. Okay, a vote will now be cast towards the adoption of the proposed budget for the 2026 fiscal year. All in favor of adoption, please vote aye in the voting channel chat. All opposed, vote nay. Okay, the ayes have it, and the motion carries to adopt the budget as presented. May the secretary please record the budget adoption in the minutes. The secretary may unmute to confirm when ready to proceed.
Data recorded. We may proceed. This is the last thing I have on my minutes, though.
Okay. Just a moment. All right, hearing the time is now 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we have completed the items in our agenda. Are there any further business to come before the board at this time? Okay, hearing none, there is no further business. This meeting is adjourned at 6:40 p.m. PST, 9:40 p.m. EST. Secretary may now stop the timer and record the current time and time elapsed in the minutes. Since we're going so quick, I'll skip this next 10-minute break and return to the meeting for the website and dashboard presentation. Let me know when you're finished recording that, Sean.
Finished recording. Time adjourned 9:40 p.m. EST, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Time elapsed 18 minutes and 38 seconds.
All right. Now that the formalities regarding incorporation are out of the way, I'll be presenting a brief overview of our roadmap for the remainder of Semester 1 of fiscal year 2026. I'll be going over scaling and expansion plans, including a few exciting updates in the works, and finish up by showing off our freshly updated website and monitoring dashboard. As for scaling and expansion of our services, C4 is planning to eventually implement several major upgrades to our alerting system, resource library, news, feeds, and website. In terms of alerting system, we've got several updates planned, including the possibility of introducing alerts that can be voluntarily subscribed to and received in many different formats, such as by email, SMS, or MMS text messaging, or rich notifications for Android mobile users. Along the same vein, we also plan to provide a more comprehensive structure for personalization options for both alerts and our news feeds. For example, we plan on implementing a method for filtering alerts based on type and severity level. Lastly, we plan to drastically expand and more effectively automate our news coverage to allow for better hyperlocal story aggregation. As seen on this slide, our year one coverage for our expansion roadmap is split between the continents of Europe and Asia. The countries listed are from top to bottom in order of planned coverage rollout. We have decided to base the schedule for rollout on the current geopolitical and societal necessity to provide access to news from these countries. C4 is actively looking to recruit volunteer advisors, so people who live in each of these places, to help our team disseminate newsworthy topics and reliable local sources. This is very important. So if anybody knows anybody who lives in these places, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll figure out if we can have them help us out with that. As for our resource library, the current system we have in place is extremely crude and the media we have available is relatively limited. We plan to eventually host a web library, archive, or wiki of sorts. This will allow for a scalable, easily accessible system for providing free, continuous access to resources and media for developing a better sense of disaster preparedness. We aim to design the platform around catering to the specific needs of the individual user. For example, we plan to implement a geographic localization system that points users towards local government and community resources available to them in case of an emergency. We also intend to allow users to utilize a search function and filters based on location, subject, and media format, such as document, ebook, video, etc. I'll now be presenting a short video that describes the functions available on our new dashboard website.
This is the C4 Monitoring Dashboard, a comprehensive, simple-to-use web tool for monitoring global events such as military conflicts, natural disasters, and political upheaval in near real time. It consists of several interactive segments that provide features such as live CCTV footage from locations around the world, live news broadcasts from trusted sources such as the BBC, CBS News, and DW, as well as a fully responsive world map with customizable layer controls. These layer controls can be utilized to toggle the visibility of many different data points and reference information that can be displayed on the map. They function similarly to the layer controls for a standard GPS mapping program. A few of the available layers include density modeled AIS ship traffic, airport delays, conflict zones, natural disaster events, fuel pipeline locations, and the approximate locations of various vital infrastructure. C4's monitoring dashboard also provides quick AI-powered consolidated news briefings and various visual RSS news feeds for locations worldwide. You can also generate an on-demand local news briefing, as well as view recent localized prediction markets for a specific country by clicking it on the map. The C4 monitoring dashboard is now publicly accessible at www.c4-.org. Thank you for watching.
Okay. The last portion of our presentation is a quick overview of ways to participate and help your community stay prepared and allow for quicker and safer response to disasters when they occur. The C4 team separates community preparedness planning into 3 easy-to-digest categories or steps. Prepare, inform, and respond. We'll start with prepare. The first and arguably most important step towards community preparedness is receiving the proper training. Several major organizations provide paid or free training to civilians to allow them to act as effective volunteer first responders when officials may not arrive on the scene of an emergency in time. International organizations that provide training courses include the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, or IFRC, St. John's Ambulance, and the World Health Organization, also known as the WHO. In the United States, civilians may also sign up for training courses provided by the Federal Emergency Management Agency or through the American Red Cross, Team Rubicon, and the Medical Reserve Corps, MRC. In Canada, trainings are provided by the Canadian Red Cross, Search and Rescue Volunteer Association of Canada, or SARVAC, and the Canadian Public Health Agency. The second step in the prepare category is the drafting of household and neighborhood disaster plans. Prepared disaster plans are very important because the panic and chaos of an emergency situation often makes on-the-fly planning extremely difficult. The ability to grab a cheat sheet with an easily followed evacuation route, supply checklist, and contact information on your way out the door provides a major tangible advantage during an emergency. Drafting an effective plan often seems like a daunting task, but in actuality it should not be difficult. The best disaster plans are very simple and concise and make use of glanceable information like high contrast maps, short checklists, and big, bold phone numbers for contact lists. During a crisis situation, reading through a 30-page binder won't be helpful. Also remember that it's always a good idea to have both a physical and digital copy of your plans to provide redundancy. The most important pieces of information to provide in a household disaster plan are a safe evacuation route and, if possible, a backup route in case the first is inaccessible, the locations of household utility shutoffs, for example, water, power, gas, the locations of emergency supplies, for example, go bags and first aid kits, emergency contact names and numbers, for example, trusted neighbors, family members, and local officials, and a rally point in case one of your family members or you become separated during an evacuation. Neighborhood disaster planning organizers should also know who of their neighbors are CPR and first aid trained, who has military training or medical first responder background, and who can use power tools or equipment such as chainsaws, utility vehicles, ham radios, or generators. They should also be aware of which neighbors would be the most vulnerable during an emergency, such as the elderly or the mobility impaired. These neighbors should be checked on as soon as possible following a disaster incident. If possible, a simple chain of command system can be implemented to help coordinate disaster response. Organizers can consider assigning block captains to oversee specific needs and mobilize volunteers with specific skill sets. The next category in community preparedness is inform. Community members should consider sharing their contact information with trusted neighbors. Community disaster preparedness organizers should consider planning neighborhood events and publicize the existence of their neighborhood disaster plan. Including first responders in these events is critical. Organizers should inform their local fire or police station about their neighborhood disaster planning efforts as to allow for local outreach for first responders. Organizers should urge their neighbors to attend trainings through NGOs such as the Red Cross or plan potential group training workshops. Forming communication trees such as a neighborhood group text, UHF or walkie-talkie networks, or an internet group chat is also a great way of keeping your neighborhood informed. The third and last category in community preparedness is respond. For communities in the United States, FEMA-registered Community Emergency Response Teams, or CERTs, are a great resource for structured civilian disaster management. CERTs are designed to bridge the 12 to 72 hour gap in professional emergency services' ability to respond to a major disaster by allowing trained civilians to perform basic life-saving tasks and organize relief efforts until officials can arrive. Many neighborhoods and towns have a pre-established CERT program that provides training taught by local firefighters or emergency managers. These courses typically consist of about 20 hours of hands-on first aid, search and rescue, fire safety, disaster preparedness, and disaster psychology training. Community members in the U.S. should contact their local first responders and inquire about CERT trainings available in their area. In Canada, the availability of formalized civilian emergency response training varies by province and city or local jurisdiction. For search and rescue operations involving missing persons or wilderness rescue efforts, community members in Canada can consider joining a SARVAC ground search and rescue team. SARVAC aims to provide a force multiplier for local police services by utilizing the skills of highly trained volunteers. SARVAC training is typically much more demanding than standard CERT-style training courses. While specific courses vary by province, they generally follow national competencies that provide trainees for the harsh Canadian wilderness environments they may experience. These include the searcher, technical rescue, survival, incident management, and humanitarian workforce competencies. Volunteers are trained to utilize GPS, map, and compass navigation techniques, perform rope rescue, high-angle and swift water extractions, survive harsh conditions such as sub-zero climates and avalanche risk areas, and perform their duties seamlessly with professional disaster responders using the Incident Command System to allow them to augment disaster relief in various emergency scenarios. Participating in community disaster preparedness can be as simple as preparing a go bag for your household, or as complex as learning to save a life in sub-zero climates. It's your decision as an individual how you'd like to stay prepared for an emergency. No matter the path you choose to take, C4 will continue to strive to provide ways of spurring a disaster preparedness mindset in people everywhere. Thank you for your interest and continued support of our movement. All right, thank you all for participating and tuning in to watch the Cooperative Contingent of Concerned World Citizens first semi-annual board meeting. If you haven't yet, please sure to follow us on social media to keep up to date with any other events we may host. And for those of you who are watching on our YouTube channel, please consider joining our Discord server if you haven't already to gain access to all of our news watching and alert services. All of the links to our social media accounts and our website, as well as an invite link to our Discord server, are in the description. You can also scan the QR code on screen to find all of those links on our Buffer Start page. Thank you for watching.